Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Krysten Hansyn, and this is Goddess Imagine, a transformational yoga and modern metaphysical studio. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with a brand new reading that's called Release Your Money Fear and Reclaim Your Personal Power, Tarot Guidance for Financial Freedom. This reading was specifically designed for individuals who have struggled with their finances their entire lives, who are ready to ditch their money blocks and rise up into their boss bitch era. Money can be an extremely sensitive topic, especially for women. And that's because for many of us, money has been a source of fear, stress, shame, avoidance, and control. Some of us were never taught how to manage money. Some of us have built up debt just trying to survive difficult situations. Some of us have stayed in unhealthy relationships because we lacked the financial independence to leave. And some of us have avoided looking at our bills and bank accounts because we couldn't handle looking at those numbers. I have been through all of it. And I often tell the story of how when I went through my divorce, the only way that I knew I had any money in the bank account is when I would go to the grocery store and swipe my debit card. I just couldn't handle looking at those numbers, right? I still struggle with it a little bit, but I'm a lot better than what I once was. Money blocks can be absolutely terrifying. And each and every one of us has developed our own money fears through different life experiences. But what unites us is the guilt and the grief that we share, right? That weighs us down, that prevents us from making our dreams and goals a reality. Money can become a silent prison. But here's the truth. Our freedom, our safety, our success, and our independence requires financial awareness. In keeping with our theme, 2026, the year of the dynamic do-over, we're doing a head-to-toe makeover, which includes our finances, because there's no way that we can reach the level of success that we desire and make all of our dreams come true if we have a negative attitude about money and our finances are in the toilet. Money itself is not good or bad. Money is a tool. It's a resource. It's an energy exchange. If we fear money, avoid money, or misunderstand money, then we remain powerless. But if we face money with courage, clarity, and consistency, we begin to reclaim our personal power, which allows us to move forward in all the ways that we desire. Today's reading will help us to discover our personal truth about money, what our current financial situation is, where we'd like our finances to be instead, how we can release our negative thoughts and feelings about money, and how we can rise up from our awkward financial devastation into absolute financial freedom. Together, we'll continue our journey of learning how to up-level and transform into the women we were created to be and manifesting the luxury lifestyle that we've always imagined. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment just to ground myself. You're welcome to join me if you care to, if you're able to. I just like to take a moment, close my eyes down, just sit up nice and tall in my seat, connect to my energy, my intuition. If you're unable to close your eyes, you can just tune into the sound of my voice. As we ground, center, and focus our mind, body, and spirit, we can invite our higher power and spiritual team to join us. We connect to our inner goddess. We embrace our divine feminine energy. And we can also set a personal intention for this reading. When we're finished, we just bring our hand to our heart. We can take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Open up our eyes and we're back. Thank you so much. I'd like to give the cards just a little shuffle before we begin. I already shuffled the deck before I began, but I like to put a little fresh energy on the cards. My poor hands. Okay, let's begin. So I'm excited to do this. All right, and we begin our reading with card number 1, which represents our thought process. Okay, this question asks us, what are our current thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about money? How do we personally see or view money? This card can reveal painful patterns of dysfunctional behavior that have led to our financial devastation. And we begin with card number 1, the Chariot. Excellent card. We're beginning with the major arcana because for many of us, money has been a major problem. So whenever I see the Chariot in a reading, I think of like back in the day when we'd see those older movies, right? And these men riding on these contraptions. It was either like a slab of cement or a piece of plywood. And there was a log along the bottom with 2 wooden wheels on it, right? And they had a stand in front, and these men would have to not only keep upright in that chariot, but they would also have to command the horses and stay in position, right? So it took a tremendous amount of energy and a tremendous amount of strength to be able to control themselves and the horses and move forward. So when I see the Chariot in card number 1, what does this represent regarding how you currently feel about money is that you've had to hold things together for a very long time, that you're absolutely positively exhausted by exerting all of your strength just to try to keep your head above water. This has been a lifelong struggle for most of you that are listening in on this. And we have been through all of the things, the finances, the shifting the money around, having to do different things. And maybe for the most of your life, being alone in this process, right? Because there's really not another individual here to help us with this journey. And we're the ones that have had to hold things together. We've had to keep things in place and try to tape all the pieces together in order to keep our families fed and maintained. And now that we're reaching this later stage in life, we're absolutely exhausted. We're over it. We're sick and tired of it. Many of us have maybe just pulled the sheets over our eyes and we don't even want to open them up because we just can't bear to face any more financial devastation, right? It's taken everything that we've had to keep things together in order to move us forward. And right now we're over it. We're disillusioned. Next, we come into card number 2. Where did this all begin? This question asks us, how or where did these beliefs and behaviors begin? This card gives us valuable insight into why we feel the way we do about money and how this negative thought pattern started. This awakening is what gives us the opportunity to understand ourselves and those negative beliefs and behaviors more clearly. And once we have that awareness, we now know what it is that we have to let go of, right, in order for us to move forward. And it's not about blame or shame or guilt or avoidance. It's about cutting through all of the bullshit to getting to the answer, right? Because once we understand that origin, that's what's going to allow us to replace that judgment with compassion and give us the opportunity to move forward. So with card number 2, where did these money beliefs begin? We have the 6 of Pentacles. Traditionally, the 6 of Pentacles can represent someone who's very generous, obviously, someone who gives away freely, someone who isn't afraid to hold back on their resources, right? And I see this card in maybe 2, maybe 3 ways when it comes to how did this all begin. Number 1, maybe you were very generous with your money. Maybe you were the one in the family that would give away your allowance and give other people in your family money. And as you got older, maybe people took advantage of you to where you became depleted in your finances, and that's been going on for most of your life, and now you're in a lot of trouble. Maybe you come from a family that viewed people having money in a negative way, that being rich was bad, or that it was better to struggle, and that whenever things would come up with rich and successful people, that energy was knocked down. This could also represent possibly people that came from a very wealthy family that maybe did very well financially. They were stable, had the prosperity and the abundance, and maybe you were the one that just for whatever reason didn't click with that money mentality. Maybe something happened to you along the way that just blew your groove, right? And financial devastation doesn't always have to be a lifelong issue. It can sometimes happen to us later in life. Something can happen like a divorce or, God forbid, someone passes away and then, life is an upheaval. But that's why I said kind of three, but I really feel like this is maybe someone began, being overly generous, being overly kind with their own resources, or maybe coming from a background where money was viewed in the negative. Next, we have card number 3, which represents our current financial status. What's the current state of your financial situation? Are you on track, barely holding on, or are you in way over your head? This card requires us to pull our heads out of the sand and get right in front of our financial picture. And that's because knowledge is power. Once again, what we know, what the problems are, then we can learn how to fix them, okay? So for card number 3, our financial status is the judgment card, right? And judgment isn't about judgment so much. This is more like about resurrection, right? We're being called up. We're being called to do something. As we can see, the bodies are being risen from the grave. This would tell me, in regards to your current financial situation, that you're being called to do something about this immediately, because if you don't, something else is going to happen, right? We're in a place and a time that maybe your finances have been out of control for so long, and maybe you haven't been looking at the bills and looking at the things, but maybe there's some type of trouble coming up that you're being called to get ahead of it right now, right? We got to tap into ourselves. We're going to learn how to move forward and to be able to open up these things. But you're in a place where your situation is dire. It could be leading to catastrophic episodes happening if we don't get in front of this. And I get it, because I've had that happen to me. I have had to file a bankruptcy. I have had creditors calling me. I have had all kinds of things. But I got into a program that helped me to work things out and get my finances back in order. And now my credit score is way higher than what it was, right? But right now, we're being called up to observe this, to take a look at it and begin to tackle it immediately. Next, we have card number 4. What do you want your financial status to become? This question asks us, if we could release our negative views about money and manifest the luxury lifestyle that we've always imagined, what would our financial status look and feel like? And we can't just say, I want to be debt-free or I want to be rich and wealthy. We want to get a snapshot of what an average day, week, or month looks and feels like in our lifetime. How would we operate with money? What would be important for us to set up and operate from, right? We want to develop an upper understanding and higher knowledge about money and building wealth. So all things aside, if we had absolute control right now and had the ability to craft our financial situation, we have the 7 of Pentacles. We want to be at ease. We want to be able to sit down and relax and reflect. The 7 of Pentacles represents this gentleman here. He's been working very hard at his garden, and he's stepping back and pausing to admire the hard work of his labor and efforts, right? He's done the work. He's built this garden, grew this garden, and now he's stepping back. He's taking a pause. When I see the 7 of Pentacles, this tells me that we want to be at peace. We want to be at ease. We don't mind working hard for the things that we want, but we want to see that, payoff of all the hard work that we've done. Many of us don't even get a chance to even see the money that we've made. It's going right into something else, right? And we've set up these chaotic and crazy cycles. I know that there's a lot of people that have gotten involved in those check cashing things. I've never gotten involved in that, but I've been in other trouble with money, to where we don't even see our paychecks, right? The minute that they come in there, a big chunk of it is being taken by someone else or something else. And we want to stop that crazy. We want to wake up in the morning. We want to be at peace. We want to be at ease. We want to know that everything is in order. Our bills are being paid. And we want to sit down and relax and enjoy the benefits of the hard work that we've done. We want to wake up in the morning happy, excited, and ambitious about the day, not waking up with that overwhelming fear of, oh my God, I can't even look at my bank account. I can't handle this right now. And I know some people may be listening to this and thinking, oh my gosh, how can it get this far? Listen, with finances, that's why I said in the beginning, it's a very sensitive subject for a lot of people, because many of us were never taught about money. We've been through a lot of, excruciating circumstances. We've accumulated a tremendous amount of trauma and drama, and we're not operating from a healthy mindset or a healthy perspective, and things can get twisted quickly. Card number 5 we have is letting it all go. Card number 5 tells us how we can begin to release all of the trauma, the drama, and the damage and dysfunction surrounding our current financial situation. How do we let go of the fear, the shame, the stress, the avoidance, and the emotional weight of our money experience? We want to be able to get that crap out of our system so we can prepare for the next step, right? How do we begin to let this negativity go? For card number 5, we have the 6 of Wands. We're going to have to rise above it, right? We have to make that mental choice to turn it off, to let go of it ourselves, and be able to move ourselves forward. When we see the 6 of Wands, this is about recognition, honor, doing the right thing, being rewarded for a job well done, that you've taken a specific amount of action and now you're, I wouldn't necessarily say riding high, but you're riding above the trauma and the drama. And in life, I've learned there isn't any one thing we can do that's going to turn off the pain and suffering. There isn't one particular step that we can do where all of our feelings and the emotions behind a certain situation are going to dissipate. We have to mentally tell ourselves that we're not going to feel this way anymore, right? I had to make it a point to look at my bank account. I had to make it a point to open up my bills, but I've consistently worked hard and began developing this new mindset and looking in my envelopes and paying things on time and not being afraid and making phone calls and doing this stuff to get it done, right? So this card is telling us in order for us to let it go, we want to learn to take the proper actions, move forward, and then rise above it. We cannot afford to let that trauma and drama keep going. We really can't. We want to be at a point in our life where we're able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Because I always say, we're not getting any younger. Sooner or later, we're going to die and we're going to be dead with our dreams and goals stuck in our heart. We'll never get a chance to experience the life that we'd like to. So we have to make a conscious choice. I'm not going to feel that shame anymore. I understand I made some serious mistakes about money. I understand that I kept my head in the sand for too long, but now I'm sitting up tall. I've got my papers in front of me and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to rise up from my past and I'm going to create a new pathway for my family. Next, we have card number 6, developing the right mindset. This is so important. In order to become the women we were created to be, and manifesting the luxury lifestyle that we've always imagined, we have to develop a solid understanding about money, what we truly desire in life, how we'll get there, and the type of mindset necessary to support the journey. As we release the negative money beliefs and behaviors, along with the emotional weight that comes with financial devastation, what new and empowering beliefs can we adopt in order to move us forward? Okay, so after we begin to release this negativity, we're rising above it, right? We're lifting ourselves, we're learning and we're growing. We have to be able to replace that negativity with positivity because that has taken up so much space within our body. As we let it go, it creates a void. And if that void stays there for too long, that negativity can backslide in there. So we have to choose. How do we want to feel about money? What mindset do we want to connect to in order to help move us forward? For card number 6, we have the Fool card. Awesome. So when we see the Fool, it represents the beginning of a journey, the beginning of something new. When we look closely at this Fool card, he's looking up in the air, his eyes are closed, he's getting ready to walk off the cliff. He doesn't have a care in the world, okay? At the same time, he fully trusts the universe has his back. He is willing to take a risk because he knows it going in the right direction and doing the right thing, that he is going to be covered. So we have to adopt the mindset of being willing to take a risk, to be willing to tap into our inner self, our higher knowing, and understand how we want to feel at the end of the day. Okay, do we want to be relieved? Do we want to be happy? Do we want to be comfortable? Do we want to be confident? What positive emotions do you want to begin attracting? And sometimes we have to try them on. Sometimes we have to try different things to see what really fits within our group. As we're learning, okay, and talk about 2026, the year of the dynamic do-over. We're doing a head-to-toe makeover. And for many of us, we're stepping into uncharted waters. We have no idea how it feels to not have that trauma and drama. And we can say, I want to be happy. I want to be relieved. I want to be A, B, and C. But we have to be willing to tap into different feelings to see what sits best with us. We know that number one, we want to be willing to take that risk. We want to be willing to make the phone calls, to look at the envelopes, to face ourselves in the mirror and say, this is the year that I'm doing something about my finances. This is the year I'm breaking the generational curses. I don't care what my family thinks. I don't care what anyone around me thinks. I'm doing this for myself. If you're in a relationship and your partner wants to get on board, that's fine. But this is about us making that individual decision that we're doing this for ourselves and we're willing to take the risk. We're going to try on different emotions and begin to understand how we want to feel at the end of the day when we're stepping back to admire the fruits of our labor. Next, we have card number 7, entering into our boss bitch era. This card reveals what powerful first step we can take in creating this paradigm shift in our current financial reality. What's going to move us closer to building our financial empire? How can we begin this transformational journey and go from someone who feels fear, stress, shame, avoidance, and control around money into someone who unapologetically manifests financial abundance? I mean, can you imagine going from that deep despair to being someone who manifests money effortlessly and easily? It's almost like a machine. Once you tap into that knowing and you understand money and we get our bills paid and we begin to build up that good energy and that good karma, then we can faithfully turn forward and begin to work on our personal wealth. Because I'm telling you, there's no way in the world you can reach the level of success you desire and make all of our dreams come true if we have negative beliefs about money and our finances are in the toilet. It's just not going to happen. Number one, the energy of the universe doesn't work that way. Number two, you're not going to feel good about it. How can we be happy about our success here when we have all these debtors that we owe over here? When we get in that habit of maybe we have to get a loan or file bankruptcy or get in a money management program, whatever it is. But once we get that energy going and we face those problems, then we can turn our attention to stepping into our boss bitch era. Now we can turn into money manifestors, right? Now we have all that garbage done with the past and we're up leveling into this new version of who we are. Our final card for number 7 is the King of Pentacles. Awesome. Now, the King of Pentacles obviously represents the highest that we can get within the court cards as far as business, money, finance, prosperity, and abundance, right? The King of Pentacles is literally decorated in every way possible to represent his status, right? Not only is he a king, but he's a king of his finances. He's a king of prosperity and abundance. He also manifests wealth effortlessly and easily. So when we talk about what step can I take to move me forward in that direction, we want to step into a king mindset. How would a king become a king? What steps did he take? We know by doing other readings that when we get into the court cards and especially get to the queen and the king, right? These people are very well versed in certain things. They've mastered all of their skills, right? They do things very well. They have a very good heart, a very good soul in the proper sense. Obviously there's cruel kings, whatever, but generally speaking, right? They have a higher level of understanding. They've done the hard work. They understand how money works, how business works, or whatever the king is. So we want to tap into that higher aspect of ourselves and use our imagination. How would a king become a king? What steps do I suppose that a king made? Did he reach out for help? Did he ask for assistance? A king doesn't become a king just by sitting there. He has a community. He has support. He has people around him. And maybe part of your journey begins aligning yourself with people who are successful. Maybe we have to break free from those people that have been holding us down, right? Some of us have come from families to where poverty was their lifestyle. When I was younger, my parents had money, and then the 70s came, and my father was a construction worker. He lost all of his work. No one was working in the 70s. We struggled for a very long time until the mid 80s, when he got into doing reconstruction and getting into like damage repair after floods and fire and things like that. Then my family became very wealthy. Of course, I was almost already grown by then, right? But we have to make that conscious decision to be able to up level ourselves, right? And even though I didn't learn about money when I was younger, I had to make that conscious decision to do it later in life, right? People aren't going to come up to us and magically say, hey, I see you're struggling, let me help you, right? And we can often stay stuck in situations. A lot of people go through this with addiction, weight loss, and things like that. We have people in and around us that are struggling with the same things, and they keep us down. Okay, we're trying to rise up and they keep us pulled down. So maybe it's about building a new community, finding new friends, getting involved in different Facebook groups or different internet communities where there's women like you who are working to release this negativity about them, and you want to tap into that forward momentum. And I can also tell you, there's nothing wrong with cutting people out of your life. If I come across someone who's not going in the same direction that I am, I can be friendly, I can be kind, but they're not a part of my inner circle. They're just not. I cannot afford to backslide in my life. So when we look at card number 7, entering into our boss bitch era, we want to begin to align ourselves with people of that king mindset. They're already making money. They're already in that journey. And you want to tap into that forward going energy, because we're in a place that we're absolutely exhausted. We have been doing this for so long, keeping all of the nuts and bolts together, barely keeping our head above water, maintaining all of the stress and anxiety on our own. And we're so overwhelmingly exhausted that we can't even stand to wake up every single morning. And that's not what Spirit created us to do. We maybe entered into a time in our life. When we look at card number 2 here, how it all began, maybe we were overly generous. Maybe we gave too much of our money away. Maybe we come from a background to where our family was poor and they thought poverty was the right way to go. When I was growing up, there were a lot of people that didn't like rich people. They thought rich people were bad, money was bad, you don't need this, you don't need that. There was always that criticism that if you wanted to do better, there was something wrong with you. Okay, some people come from that background. Or like I said, maybe your family was financially well and you are the rogue one. Something happened with you and things went sideways. When we look at card number 3, our current financial status, we're being called to look at this. We're literally being called by Spirit to rise up and begin looking at things, because we could potentially be getting into serious trouble. Right. And I mean, it doesn't mean like, like the law, like, I'm not talking legal. I'm talking many things can be going on that if we don't open up our eyes and pay attention, something negative can happen that can make our situation a whole lot worse. And we don't want that. When we look at how do we want our finances to become, we want to be at ease. We want to relax. We want to enjoy. We want to be able to just pause for a moment and be proud of the work that we've done. We don't want to wake up being stressful and anxious. We don't want to carry around that shame and that guilt. This man has no shame. He's proud. He's proud of the hard work that he's done. He's literally stepping for a moment just to admire the fruits of his labor, just for a brief moment. Okay. And that's where we want to be. We want to have that financial peace. When we talk about letting it all go, right? We want to rise above it. We have to make a mental decision that I'm not going to let this affect me anymore. I know that I effed a lot of shit up. I know that I made some mistakes. I'm rising above it. I can't hang on to that excuse no more. I'm better than that. I know what I need to do, and I'm going to begin doing those things immediately. When we want to talk about developing the right mindset, right? We're going to be willing to take a risk. We're going to be willing to do something different. We know and trust that once we put our mind to doing the right thing and going with that positive energetic flow, that the universe is going to catch us. We have to be willing to try on different emotions, different feelings to find out what works for us, because we've never really been in that place. And if by chance you were someone who once was doing quite well financially and something happened to you to knock it out from underneath you, maybe you're being called to look at and appreciate your finances a little bit differently. All right, that can happen to us as well. And with our final card, entering into our boss bitch era, we're adapting that king mindset. We're going to begin operating from that king perspective. We're maybe going to be part of a different community. We're going to look to align ourselves with new friends, cutting out people that aren't on that same trajectory, maybe getting an education, getting knowledge about money. That's what I've dedicated this year to. Last year I did, and things were really crazy in 2025. I didn't get to where exactly that I wanted to be, so I carried that over into 2026 along with my personal time, right? Because I had zero time for myself. But this year it's really set into me that I want to get serious about making big money, multi-millions. And being a small town girl with a small town budget, having literally no money my entire life, I have to learn about it. I have to understand what that's going to take and what I have to do. And I've already purchased a lot of books about that. And if it's something that you're interested in learning more about, please put it in my comments and I'll be happy to talk about it more if that's something that you'd like to hear about. And before we end, I have a final card, which is our Goddess Inspiration card. And I wrote here, overcoming dysfunctional money beliefs and behaviors is one of the most intricate and personal transformational journeys that we'll ever encounter. This card represents a personal message from our inner goddess to encourage, support, and guide us through this difficult terrain, right? We're going into uncharted territories, right? We're going to become multimillionaires. And we are going to need all the support that we can get. I'm just going to shuffle these cards up a little bit here. I'm using the Gaia Oracle. If you've ever used this deck, this is one of my favorite decks. I use this quite often because the messages are clean and to the point. All right, and I'm going to pull a card from the center of the deck. And we have Winter's End. I love the imagery on this deck. It's an older deck. It's probably about 10 years old, maybe a little bit older, but it's such a fabulous deck. The message is regeneration, rebirth, and positive outcome. I'm not wearing my progressive, so I have to lift them. Perfect. So Winter's End, right? We've heard that phrase from Game of Thrones, winter's coming. Guess what? Winter's over, right? All the struggle, all the strife is coming to an end. This is a time of rebirth, rejuvenation, doing things different. And if you see, she's naked here. She's stripping down all of the outer shell. She's taking off the veil. She's taking off the garment. She's pulling the wool back from over her eyes. She's got her head pulled out of the sand, and she's unstressed, unbothered, and unworried. She's absolutely authentic in her presence. She's genuine in who she is. She's unapologetic. Okay. We are being called to let go of all of that extra that we put on ourselves. We're just going to peel it all back. Whatever words you've been told, whatever things you believed, whatever people teased you with it as you were a kid. Listen, I was the poor kid in school. I get it. I was dragged my entire life until I was 13. Actually, I was 12 in 7th grade, and I learned how to punch, and then I started getting into fights, right? Because you're only going to take it for so long. But there comes a time that we have to strip down the bullying, things that we've been said, words that have been told to us. We have to let it go. Even if it comes from your own family or those people closest to you, we're shucking it off, because nothing about that is the truth. We are who we are. The mess is what it is, but we're stepping into that king mentality. We're going to up level into our boss bitch era, and we're making shit happen, right? It may not be perfect. It may not be right this moment, but we're making the commitment that's going to move us forward in all the ways we desire, right? We're on that journey to up level and transform into the women that we were created to be and manifest the luxury lifestyle that we've always imagined. So thank you very much for joining me today. I truly hope that you found this reading beneficial. Like I said, I have struggled with all areas of finances, and I used to be very embarrassed to talk about it. But when I started going live on Periscope back in like 2015, 2016, I started talking about it more because I understood that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only one. And the more that I talked about it, the more people would come forward and say, oh my God, I feel the same way. I don't even know what I'm going to do. And we're whole grown women, right? We have children, we have spouses, we're trying to run a business, we're trying to do all of these things, and we're struggling with this financial weight that's literally strapped to our ankle. Why do we keep doing that? Why, as women, do we drag this thing with us, right? We have an opportunity. I got like a hair or something here. It's driving me crazy. We have an opportunity to let that all go. And it's really a choice. That's what it became for me. I got involved with a few organizations. I began to learn about money. My husband started learning about money. And together, we're doing this thing to where we're learning different responsibilities with it. And I promise you, the more empowered you become with money, the more education you get, and the more you face that bank account and those bills, the less stress that you feel. Whether you call it shame, guilt, whatever it is, I had all those feelings, you feel way less of it. And when you see that credit score rise and you see the accolades that you get there, good job. When you have credit card companies wanting to give you credit cards at really good rates to help you build your credit even further, it's the most fabulous feeling in the world. And I've watched so many shows where they say, you know, love will keep you in a relationship, stuff like that. Finances, to me, is like one of the worst things we can experience. So in our year of 2026, the year of the dynamic do-over, I invite you to explore your financial situation. If you're someone that's challenged with that, please let me know in the comments. And I hope this reading is giving you an opportunity to craft a path and get you moving down the road forward. I understand that I can't give individual readings to each of you that are here to see your individual financial situations, but I read from the upper collective, right? Of people that struggle. I can see that collective energy. And even though each of these cards may not pertain to you personally, I thoroughly believe there's information in here that can help you wherever you're at. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I truly hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. I have yoga videos on the channel. I have additional readings that I've done. I also have a few of my podcasts, so please feel free to explore and connect with anything you feel called to. And if you would subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that, as well, as we're trying to build a community here. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Brightest blessings and namaste. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much, everyone.